If you've been following the news from Germany recently, you've probably heard that the Bundestag is in total meltdown. Political life has been thrown into complete chaos. Angela Merkel's career is over, and we are back to the turbulent days of the Weimar Republic. Well, no, it's not that bad. We've never been in this situation before, but it was planned for when the Constitution was written. The problem began with the results of the election, which made the formation of a governing coalition very difficult. If you're not sure how that happened exactly, I made a video about it at the time, which you might like to watch first. I've put a link in the description. Talks aimed at putting together a coalition dragged on for weeks and weeks. And then, all of a sudden, just when it looked as if a deal was close, the FDP walked out. Exactly why is hard to say, because at times like this everybody just blames everybody else. But it is widely suspected that the FDP was simply unwilling to give any ground or make any kind of compromise. Their leader, Christian Lindner, said that it is better not to govern at all than to govern wrongly, which has led many people to suggest that he was never interested in a coalition and was just wasting everybody's time. This is where we are now. The first attempt at building a coalition has failed, and no other coalition looks even remotely likely to succeed. So, what happens next? Well, at times like this, the German president springs into action. His role is usually ceremonial, but he does have some very important tasks, and sorting out this kind of mess is one of them. He'll probably first talk to the different parties and try to get them to reconsider their positions regarding the building of a coalition. If that fails, then he can go ahead and suggest somebody to be the next chancellor, even without a coalition deal on the table. It doesn't have to be Merkel. In theory, any German citizen who is eligible to vote in national elections could be a chancellor. The president nominates somebody and the Bundestag votes on it. This actually always happens after an election, but usually it's pretty much a formality. This is the first of up to 3 phases of voting, but so far there has never been a chancellor that wasn't elected at this stage. In this phase, the president's candidate must have the support of at least 50% of the Bundestag. If that fails, the Bundestag has 2 weeks to nominate one or more candidates and elect one of them. The winning candidate needs at least 50% of the votes, and within these 2 weeks the Bundestag can have as many rounds of voting as it takes. If there's still no chancellor at the end of all that, the third phase begins. This consists of a single round of voting, and the winner is simply the candidate with the most votes. If that candidate gets more than 50% of the vote, then all is well, that person is the new chancellor. If not, then the president has to make one of the very few truly political decisions that he's allowed to make. He has to decide whether to appoint the winner chancellor or call for fresh elections. Neither of these options is ideal, but at least it's something. If the president chooses to appoint the winner chancellor, that will mean a minority government. This is a situation where there are more people in opposition than there are in government, which means that everything the government does is dependent on the goodwill of the opposition. And with more than half of the Bundestag having voted against the appointment of this particular chancellor, that is going to make life very difficult. But nobody really wants to go through another election campaign. It's tedious, it takes time, it's expensive, and frankly, at the moment, the country has some very important things to be getting on with. But it is quite likely that the outcome of a new election will be different, as voters will try to avoid the same situation happening again. So it's possible that in the long term, it may be the better option after all. Basically, this really isn't a good situation for the government to be in, but we still have a lot of things to try before we hit the panic button. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to send me a postcard, here's the address. And don't forget to visit my website and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, if you'd like access to special bonus content and help with the costs of running this channel, please consider making a small monthly donation on Patreon.